At this point, we're going to create another type of style which is known as a class style. Basically, a class style needs to be directly applied to the content within the page. So I'll start by creating a style where I can apply it to text, and it will basically simply turn the text red. So let me go up to my, I'll just change my setup here a little bit, make some room for my CSS pane, and I'll just click on New CSS Rule. Now I currently still have the story1.html file open, and I'm just continuing on it. So I'll highlight that, click New Style, and I'll just choose Class Style. And class styles start with a period in the name. If you don't put one in, Dreamweaver will put one in for you. But I'm just going to type in period red type. Save it inside of that same common style sheet and click OK. And of course it pops up my properties window, and under type I'll choose the color red. Click OK. Now I didn't click apply there because there's nothing to automatically update on the screen, so it really made no sense to click apply in that situation. But what I do want to do is span across some words and then apply that style through the properties panel. So I'll highlight Loch Ness Monster, and in the properties you have a pull down window for class, and all the classes available will appear there. And the nice thing is they actually appear styled in the preview. So I click red type, and you can see there that it has turned it red. I'm just going to zoom up here a little bit, and I'll also highlight the word Bigfoot, words Bigfoot, and again apply that style. So there you have it. In a very simple way, we've created what's known as a class style, and you do apply it to the selected items on your page, and you usually use the properties panel to do that. Now, so far with our styles, we've been basically addressing type. At this point, I'd actually like to address the photo in the page here. We've got a photo above the text. What I'd like to do with it is I'd like to have the text running around it, as well as creating a bit of space between the photo and where the text will come up against it. So in other words, generate some padding so that there will be a bit of breathing space around it. So let me just start by creating another new style. And I will make it a class style, and I'll call this one dot photo. Save it in that same common style sheet and click OK. Now in this one, I'm going to be going to the box category, and we have a feature called float. What the float does is it basically forces the picture to the left or to the right. So I'm going to float this one to the right, which means text will run along the left side of it and underneath it. So I'm just going to hit float right, and I also want to affect the padding on 3 of the 4 sides. So I'm going to uncheck same for all under padding, and I'd like it to be 15 pixels on the right, bottom, and left. So I'll just type in 15 for each one of these. Hit my tab key and then click OK. Now all I have to do is highlight that photo and go to my properties and attribute the class. I can see that it's kind of hidden here, so I'll just tear this out for a second and choose photo, and I'll just zoom out. You probably saw the text come running along the left here, but I'll just zoom down so you get a better view. And there you have the text running down the side and around the bottom with the picture floating to the right. And this space in between here is basically the margin that I created, and I can prove that. I can actually go in and change it, and I can change it right in the properties. Now that this is applied, I will see the changes update. So if I wanted to say, let's say for example left, to just make it 2, hit my tab key and click over here, you can notice that there's less of a margin going on. I'm just going to turn that back to 15 and hit my tab key. And again, you can see that ultimately my style sheet as well as my file will need to be saved doing a save all. So why don't I do that now? And the asterisk is gone, therefore these are currently saved to their latest changes. And again, that's another type of class style, or actually another class style being applied to a different type of element on the page. In this case, it was applied to an image. I'm going to create another class style which will affect yet another different type of element. In this case, I want to affect some things to do with this sidebar here. So I'm going to create a style that will affect the table, or rather the table cell. So again, we'll create a new style. Again, it will be a class style, and I'll make it sidebar, dot sidebar, and save it in that same common style sheet. Click OK. And the things that I'm going to affect in this are basically the padding. I'm just going to give it a bit of breathing space all around. So I'll go to the box category, and under padding, I'll just say 10 pixels for all. Hit my tab key and click OK. Now I'll actually go in here. I'll just click inside, and I'll attach it to the table data, which is the cell. And I'll just go down to class and choose sidebar, and you'll notice when I apply it, the text will be given a bit of breathing space all around the edges. And there you have it. And again, I'll just go save all to save both the style sheet as well as the HTML page. At this point, I'd like to actually create some styles for some very unique areas on my page. I do have the sidebar over here, which we've applied one style to, but I'd like to actually go in there and specify styles for specific elements within that sidebar area. In fact, up here I have the headline, and it's an H2 heading, a heading 2. I'd like to change that and apply a style to that, but only to the H2 tags within the sidebar, as well as these hypertext links. I'd like to change some of the rollover features for them, but only have them applied again to any links that are within the sidebar. So to do this, we need to use a new type of style which is known as a compound. So let me go over to my styles panel and create a new one for that. Basically, a compound style will combine classes, IDs, and or tags to address a unique specific location inside of your page. Now, the way these work, let me cancel this for a second and show you how this works when you click inside of the specified area. Right now, I've placed my insert point inside of the text that is tagged with the H2 tag. The cool thing here is that Dreamweaver remembers that, and when I create a new style, and if it's compound, it actually will give me the hierarchy. So inside of sidebar, I'm addressing the H2 tag. So there is a combination of a tag and a class to address only H2 tags within the class called sidebar. Because I put my cursor inside of the targeted area, it actually brought that up right away by default in the name. Otherwise, I could have typed it in or customized it to address whatever combination of classes and tags and so on that I would need to do. I'm going to save that again in my stylesheet.css. So just again to remind you, inside the class called sidebar, all the H2 tags will be affected by the following styles that I create. So here we go. So with the type, I'm going to change the font to Verdana, and I'm going to make it 12 pixels. Now this, I believe I can hit apply to test it, and there we go. And I'm happy with that, so I click OK. So that's our first compound style that we've created. Let's get more specific, or rather let's just create another one inside of the sidebar, and it has to do with these links. Now, when I click on there, watch what happens when I open up the new CSS rule. It's showing me the list and the line tag as well. Now, I don't want to be that specific. So in fact, I'm going to get rid of those and just keep it sidebar space A, which means links. But I do want to affect the link states. So I can actually pull down here and go sidebar A link. Actually, I need to retype in sidebar, unfortunately. Sidebar space A link. So this is going to be the normal state for all the links. I click OK. And all I'm going to do is make the color red. I can hit apply to take a look and click OK. Now I'll create one for the rollover. So again, new CSS rule. The rollover is A hover, link hover, and again I will put dot sidebar in front of that with a space. So any link rollover that happens in the class called sidebar will be affected by the following properties. And I'm simply going to change the color in the type to green. Click OK. Save all. And I'll test that in a browser. Preview in Firefox. And there's your red and your green rollovers. And you can also see that the text is flowing to the left-hand side of my picture, which happens to be animated. And you can also see all the styles that we've created up until this time. And that is how to create a compound style. And we've also learned how to create a class style as well as a tag style.